turning on your home computer to read the day's newspaper. Well, it's not as far-fetched as it may seem. In fact, both local San Francisco papers are investing a lot of money to try and get a service just like that started. Science editor Steve Newman reports on one person already using the brand new system.
Alright, how's it going guys? Diamond here. And it has been over 2 weeks since my actual last upload. And I am not going to lie, the journey of creating this entire monster has been a difficult process. Creating the monster and imagining it was pretty easy, but the most difficult part for me, I am not going to lie, was Mythic Mobs itself. There's plenty of documentation and it takes a while to learn certain aspects of it. So in this video, I'm going to explain to you what I did, and I'm not going to tell you how to do it because it varies on what type of monster you're going to create and everything. If I give you a specific way to create a mob, you're probably going to follow that and put it to every single mob you have. I'm going to suggest you guys go in the description down below and check out this other YouTuber called Mushroom Status. He has done tons of tutorial on Mythic Mobs itself, and honestly, I learned a lot from him. If it wasn't for him, a lot of this part wouldn't be created, but of course, there are plenty of people that are helping me out. Huge thanks to Fred, of course. He helped me out a ton. Little Rooms and Maxbot. They were honestly great people, and this is why I love the community. And as I promised, this will be up for download. If you guys want to check it out, I'm going to leave a link in the description down below to my MC Models page. And while you're there, you can totally check out other tons and amazing resources that you can grab, either free ones or purchased, and you can save yourself the hassle of having to animate, do all the coding process, and all of this. Even my friend Larky's on that page, so make sure to check it out. Honestly, I even got a few packs here and there. But of course, as I stated, this is going to be a completely free model that you can go ahead and grab from my page. The link's going to be in the description down below, but what I'm going to be doing now is explaining the process of where we are now and some errors that I left within the last videos, and I want to clarify and explain what not to do that I did incorrectly. So let's get started. Alright, so to start off, I want to explain the first major mistake I did, which was the hitbox. This is super important, and looking over tons and tons of models, and honestly the reason I purchased models isn't because I'm actually going to use them, it's because I purchased them to look over and see how they work. I'm not trying to copy, I want to clarify that. I just like seeing the work, seeing how that happens and everything, and I could probably learn something new from it. I know it's a waste of money in my case, but I like learning. It varies between person. I'm not saying to go out spend tons of money on models just to learn. This is just a process I do. But what I learned from that is, and of course, again, from Fred helped me out a ton, is you have to make sure that the hitbox is identical on both X and Z coordinates. So as you can see here, it is a much smaller hitbox, but this will not cause anything to go wrong. In the last video, I did a much larger hitbox that was completely covering his body, and it was rectangular. That isn't allowed and can cause some funky, weird businesses as they can spin in 360. They sometimes will just look like they're not even alive. It's just very weird, and I suggest if you have such a large mob like I have here, try to grab his main body instead of every single part, as he is a rectangle and it will not be set up correctly. So X and Z, make sure that they're the same number. However, the Y, which is the height, does not need to matter at all. After you do that, you always want to make sure to come into the pivot and set it to eye height. And the last thing I want to clarify here is a small mistake. If you do have a head, h_head, to make sure that whenever they're in game, the mob will actually look at you like a normal mob with their head. You can do this. This is 100% correct. But I forgot to mention one important part, which is h_jaw. This is to make sure that the jaw follows with the head as well, or else just this part of the head right here will be moving and then the jaw will be left behind, and that looks very funky. So these are some main things that I want to clarify, and I know this isn't the same mob we've been creating, but this is one that you guys will be able to follow along, create the process with me. Again, link's gonna be in the description down below. After that, we're gonna go ahead and click save project as, give it a name, and click save. Next part, we're gonna be adding all the plugins. So again, in the description down below, there is going to be 2 plugins, Model Engine and Mythic Mobs. You want to make sure you have that to the correct specification of what version you're running, but honestly, all the new versions should work. However, Mythic Mobs in the latest current version, when this video is uploaded, does have some bugs that I'll explain later down the video. So once you got that in your server, we can continue. So as you can see right here, I have them in. I have Model Engine and Mythic Mobs installed. And what you want to do is head over to the Model Engine and then go into Blueprints and upload your file into here. Of course, I'm using Revivenode Hosting for this, so if you guys want to check them out, go ahead in the description down below. They provide premium servers at a budget price, only starting at $1 per gigabyte, so you can start your very own adventure type or whatever type of server you plan to do with all these crazy creatures that we're creating, and I plan to create a lot more. And using the promo code DIAMOND in all caps, you can get up to 15% off your very first purchase. So make sure to check them out in the description down below. Other than that, we have our Rocky model, and we're going to hop in game, and we're going to do the following command /meg reload, and that will reload and show that we have one model currently active. After you did that process, what you want to do is go back into the folders, go into the Model Engine folder, go into Resource Pack. You want to download this Assets folder. I'm going to go ahead and archive that and just download it over to my computer and open it up. This will keep all the important files for your mob to actually look the way it looks. So after that, you want to open up your Minecraft and in your .minecraft folder, and you can easily do that by doing %appdata%, and that should open a brand new window with a bunch of folders. Just make sure you look at the very top .minecraft and then go into resources, and here we can create a new folder. We're going to go ahead and call this one Rocky, and we're going to upload all of these files in here. We're not done just yet. We want to go ahead and create a new text document, and you want to open that up, and in here you're going to copy and paste these lines of code that I'm going to leave in the description down below. This is super important as it's going to determine how the pack is loaded in which version. I'm using 7 at the moment, and that clarifies that I'm on 1.17. If you use 6, that means it's 1.16, 5, 1.15, and 4, 1.14. Hopefully I didn't get any of those wrong. But now that we have that, I'm going to keep it at 7, and in the description you can actually change what you want from it. So I'll just call this Rocky's Textures, and I can come up here, onto File, Save As, and I can select all of this and name it Pack.mcmeta. This is super important that it sees it as a resource pack. And after that, we're going to go ahead and click on Text Document and click All Files, and then click Save. You can go ahead and close this. We can delete our old document and go back into the game, go into Options, Resource Pack. And as you can see right here, we have Rocky's Textures. We can go ahead and enable that. You can add an icon if you want, but I'm not here to tell you how to create a resource pack. And just like that, we have them in game. Of course, we still need to make a system so he can spawn in. For that, we're going to need Mythic Mobs. So heading into the folders, what we're going to start off is the Mobs folder. And here, we're going to go ahead and create a new file, and we're going to start creating the code to make sure that our Rocky exists in this case. Start off, we're going to go ahead and create a name for it. I'm just going to call it Rocky. And after that, I'm going to go ahead and count 1, 2, and here we're going to start typing it. So we're going to put in the type. This is going to be the entity type. And for this one, I'm going to do iron_golem in all caps. After that, we're going to go ahead and put display. This is its display name, and you can have a feature to display it above its head, but we're not going to be doing any of that in this episode. And for that, we're just going to put Rocky, as that's what we have for the moment. We can set its health as well, and I'm going to set that to 500. I know it's a lot, but this is a beefy mod, and I want it to feel just as the Gordon you don't want to mess with. We're going to set the damage, and we're just going to leave it at 0, and then we are going to do some AI goals. It's going to clarify what the monster is going to do by itself, so we're going to do AI Goal Selectors. And we're going to -0, we're going to clear it out, and then we are going to add a 1 for melee attack, and 2 just to randomly. Again, I'm not really the best to explain how all this works. This is a lot from Mushroom, and This is mainly what I could learn from him, so I really suggest you guys checking it out. He does much better in explaining it than I think I ever. Maybe if I did this for the rest of my YouTube career. But going on, we can go ahead and do another AI. So we're going to do AI target selectors, and we're going to add 0 to clear it out. And we're going to do 1, it's going to target players, and 2, it's going to hurt by target. So it's going to target anything that hurts it. So this means if a zombie randomly attacks it, it's going to fight back. That is if I spell everything correctly. And what 0 basically is doing right now is clearing all the old AI. So if it's a Iron Golem, it's going to remove the Iron Golem's AI and put in our unique ones down here. So after that, I'm going to set up a damage, and I can go ahead and do dash, and I'm going to set it as projectile set to 0. And this is going to make sure that whenever someone uses a arrow, it is not going to affect it. Since this is going to be a rocky creature, I don't want people to use arrows, as honestly, if you shoot an arrow at a rock, nothing's going to happen. And I want the same thing back. I was going to set it up that you only can hit it with a pickaxe, but I think that's a bit of an overkill. Now we can get into the juicy part. So we're going to do skills, and we're going to do model. This is super important, and put it in brackets. We're going to mid equal rocky, and this is the name of your creature that's set up with model engine. So you want to make sure the names are consistent so that the program can pick it up correctly. And I'm going to do n equals false at self, put a little squiggly line. I forgot the name, I'm so sorry, on spawn. And what this is basically doing is whenever we summon Rocky, he's going to spawn in with the custom model that's all great. And now we're going to set up some skill sets. And for the skill sets, I already have everything planned out, but you guys can do it however you feel fit. There are probably tons of ways you can set it up. It really depends on your model. What we're going to do is random skill. We're going to put brackets. We're going to do skills equal attack, and I'm going to do punch. And I'm not going to do it. I didn't set it as attack. I set it as punch within the actual model engine. So I'm actually going to open up that right now and go into animate. And as you can see, this is called punch. So every time he does an attack, in my case, it is punch. I'm going to do rage as well, because that's a different complete set that I've added. So every time he rages, this is the animation that I want to happen. And to finish it off, it's going to be sync equals true, as I wanted to sync up with the model perfectly fine. We're going to do one more squiggly, and on attack, I want it to perform. So these are not the actual animations. They're not going to make the animations happen on attack. These are the skills that we're going to have to create, and in those skills, we're going to set up the animations. Overall, it sounds complicated, but it's not. One last thing I want to do is slash. This is going to give it a nice little unique taste to it that I really like that I added. And it's going to be s equals block dot amethyst underscore block dot hit. And I'm going to do a pitch 0.5 and a volume equals 1, and do it at self damage. So every time we hit the mob, it's going to play a sound effect. So this is something really cool that I learned along the process, and I like it. It gives the monster a little bit more character. And to finish it off, we're going to add some properties to it. In this case, it's going to be called options. And for that, I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste these options in our mob file here. So we do always show name false collidable. This is if you can collide with the monster. I want to keep that as true, as I don't want you just phasing through him. Silent, true, because we do not want any of the Iron Golem sounds. We remove the AI, but the sounds will still be there. So you want to make sure you remove that. Prevent sunburn. This actually does not matter, but I kept it regardless, but I can actually remove it in this case. And in our speed, I'm setting it to a 0.20, as I think that's slow enough, but fast enough for our mob. And our max combat distance is going to be 5. And if I want to raise that, I always can. So this is how far he's going to be able to track and start fighting you. Next thing we can do is prevent other drops. So if we kill it, it won't provide us with any Iron Golem loot. And I set a knockback resistance of 2, as I don't want him to be knocked back at all. For the case of he's a rocky creature, I don't know what can knock him. After that, we're going to go ahead and create the file, and we're just going to call this rocky.yml. Create, and here we go. Of course, with Revivenode, it will format it for you, so it's pretty easy like that. And we're going to skills, and we're going to create a new file again. But I'm going to leave it right there, and I'm going to go back in game. I'm going to do reload, and I'm going to do spawn mob, and I'm going to do Rocky. So as you can see right there, here's Rocky. He's actually in the game. I can punch him, and he makes a sound. I don't know if you guys could be able to hear that from your end. But he's doing everything we stated. He's doing random rolls, and even if I go into survival, he will be mad at me. And the reason he's actually having all these animations is because I already set it up. And we're going to be creating everything within the same processes here as the last file. But I'm going to skip that, and I want you guys to follow the same steps that we did the last one. However, I'm not going to be recreating the entire file as I already have it pre-set up. The reason for that is this is a lot of just tweaking and setting up how you think it's fit. And I'm just going to explain some things that are important that you set up. I will, however, go back into our Rocky file and showcase a few things within here. So as you can see, we did state skills equals punch and rage, and here are those skills. So I'm actually going to hide these as I don't want you guys to get confused. So here's our punch and here's our rage. They both do very similar things, and whenever the punch skill happens, so whenever the game triggers punch instead of rage to happen, what we first want to do is cancel anything that the mob is doing. So we'll do a cancel event, and then we want our skill of him attacking. So we'll do skill S equals melee with a cooldown of 3. What that's going to do is run our second skill, and I know this may sound confusing, but it's just setting up the skills correctly, and if you could do it all in one, that would be great, but I highly recommend you set it up in similar ways to what I'm doing here. But nonetheless, let's continue with this. It will activate the melee skill, which is right under. So right here, we do have some conditions such as the cooldown. It can only target character if it's within 10 blocks. And then we have our skills. So this is a cooldown, and this is super important as well. We have a potion type a potion type which will slow him down for exactly 2 seconds, because this isn't ticks the potion strength, so I kept it at a very high number as 10 because it doesn't exist, but I don't want the mob moving when he's doing his animation. And we'll do it at self to make sure that it happens to the mob. And I want him to look at us whenever the animation is happening. So I'll just do a quick look ahead, and then this is where everything ties in. You want to do state, all in brackets, punch. So this is the animation right here, and then we'll do li. And if I told you guys what's exactly happening here, I lied to you. But all I can really understand is that the speed of the animation is going to be 1.4, and I can't exactly tell you guys what all this does. This is a lot of new things to me, and again, I highly recommend you guys check out Mushroom as he does more in depth regarding all this. But this is just stating, if you guys want to copy the code, that the mob is going to run this animation at 1.4 speed at himself. After that, we just set a delay, and we set another skill, which is throw. And this will activate and basically it's going to target within 4 blocks of this. It's going to play all of these sounds. So this is just a bunch of stone break sound effects to make it sound like he hit the character with, of course, stone. And then we set a damage modifier. So the player took about 30 hearts of damage, and that sounds like a lot, and it honestly is. There's a delay of 1, and the last thing is I threw him back with a velocity of 5, both on the Z and Y axis at the target. So as you can see here, it's not at self anymore. That means basically whenever he hits the character, he's going to be flown back. And I can actually show that off. So kill this one. I'm going to spawn him back in. So if I go up to him, he has a chance of doing... I didn't expect that one to happen. Well, that explains it. I didn't give myself resistance. I gave myself regeneration. Alright, so if I go up to this mob, if I punch him, he has a chance of running 1 of 2 of the skills. And there you go, he did do 1, and he did it again. And he did a second one, which is exactly what I want him to do. If I go up to him, punch him, he has a chance of either hitting me back with the animation. So that's exactly what we clarified with all of that code. And he also has a chance of creating this rage effect that I really like, which I'm going to explain right now. And for that, we do have it again. We start with a cancel, whatever he's doing, and then we run the roar. It's the same process with conditions, and a lot of this is just the same thing. But in this one, I'm just running some particle effects, and honestly, that's really not much. I added some sounds of the Ravager to make him sound like he's a true monster you can find underground, and then it makes it run a skill, which is Scare. And in Scare, it just makes him throw back, but I don't give any damage. I leave that. And to finish it all off, we have a death. And for this, he just plays a death sound effect, some blocks falling, some sound effects from the Amethyst and the Ravager, and then some particle effects. And I can show you that right now, just by giving myself some strength. If I punch him, he dies, and that's pretty straightforward like that. It isn't that difficult. by watching a video, but trust me, it was very difficult. Overall, I do want to apologize, you guys, for this, because I know it's not a process that you probably wanted of every single little step of explaining how to do it, but to put it all in one video like this would be impossible. Unless you want the video to be about 10 hours long. What I do recommend is you guys checking out the Mythic Mobs wiki page. And again, Mushroom Status, because he really explains it a lot better. And overall, that's the process of creating our own custom mob. This took a very long time. I'm really sorry for the wait. And hopefully it was worth it. Probably not, but that's okay. What I want to do is thank everyone for watching, and I did get some suggestions to create other things within texture packs and everything like that for servers. So stay tuned. We might be able to create some new furniture for Minecraft that people can sit on. Maybe we'll do some cars that they can actually ride. The possibilities with texture packs in servers are endless, and I really want you guys to hop along this journey with me of creating some cool assets for a server that best fits you and your characteristics. Other than that, I'm Diamond. Hope you guys have an amazing day. Make sure to check out Revivenode description down below. And I'm out. Cheers. I really deserve a rest after about 2 weeks of work.